Hey guys, it's iDavis here and welcome back. In this video, we are going to take a look at Egypt culture in the Minoan era in Rise of Cultures. As you guys may see, I have just finished the Minoan era, I am about to enter the classic Greece, and in this video I would like to share with you some thoughts and strategies about this culture and what I have experienced in its Minoan era part so far. Before we jump into the culture itself, as this is the very first culture in the game that you can discover, I would start with summarizing some information about how the cultures in the game actually work, where you can unlock them, and how do they cooperate with your capital city. They indeed make it possible to start building a second city next to your capital one, what's really cool, and can be accessed from the left bottom corner of the screen, which appears as soon as you unlock the technology called Rise of Egypt, which can be found somewhere in the beginning of the Minoan era research. If you keep scrolling through the research, you may spot that some of the technologies are marked with a special sign next to them, and these signalize that the technologies are connected with this culture. So everything they provide is somehow closely connected with a cultural settlement. These can be either the Egypt houses, Egypt workshops or production buildings, and irrigation buildings. From this point in the research, the same way you are developing your capital city, you start developing your culture. Developing your culture is pretty much a need for any progress that you want to make after, as the special resources that you can produce in Egypt are required for both unlocking the following technologies and upgrading your capital city buildings. So far we don't know if it is going to be the rule that every culture stays with the player for 2 ages. This is currently the case of Egypt, since you discover this culture in Minoan era, but you continue developing in classic Greece as well, where you get some more upgrades to unlock and resources to produce. The upcoming China seems so far also very similar. It's getting unlocked in early Rome, and the final technology seems to be at the end of the Roman Empire, so it seems to keep with the same approach. Now let's take a look at the Egypt culture itself. This is my layout at the end of the Minoan era. The important part of the playfield is the river, the Nile. The happiness system, compared with a capital city, has a little twist here. Instead of making your workers happy by placing cultural buildings between houses and workshops, in Egypt you are irrigating the ground by the water. The Nile is an important source of the water, as it's actually for free and it provides a nice amount of water for the buildings that you place around. Its other functionality is that it divides the playfield into 2 parts. The upper part, that is available right from the beginning of the culture, which you can expand by placing the expansions that can be won in certain provinces on the continent map, and the lower part, which can be reached after repairing the bridge. The bridge reparation consists of 3 stages. Each costs some Egypt resources and takes some time of the construction process. The final one takes 24 hours, so prepare the bridge in advance so that you won't stack on the leg of space. However, from my experiences so far, it's pretty fine for you to complete the bridge somewhere with finishing the Minoan era, as at this moment I actually don't have any more expansions to place there either. Okay, now how the production system works. So as in the capital city, you are collecting some sort of coin resources from your houses, namely Deben, which behaves as a culture currency, so you need this for placing and upgrading the Egypt buildings. There is no food in Egypt, but instead of food we have 2 new resources that are being produced in a very similar way. The so-called papyrus, which can be produced in the papyrus field, and the gold ore, which is produced in the gold mine. The only requirements for these productions are the workers, which are separate from the capital city, so your Egypt houses are accommodating these Egypt workers. The papyrus, together with the gold ore, are the middle resources, as they are being further produced into the papyrus scrolls, in the papyrus press workshop, and inks in the goldsmiths workshops. These 2 are the final resources of the Egypt culture, so they are required for upgrading your buildings, also those in the capital city, and unlocking the following technologies in the research. When I take a look back at how I was developing Egypt and what for the obstacles I had to face, the only resources that I was pretty much limited by were the 2 final ones. So what I recommend you is to focus mainly on the production of these 2. I initially tried to maximize the water irrigation for my papyrus field and gold mine buildings, but it soon turned out that I was actually producing more than I needed in order to handle all the costs where they stay as the requirements. And this was pretty easy even with the 2 hours productions. There are also 10 minutes productions, but the difference between those two is not very huge, so you can pretty much keep with 2 hours only, as during the day, so during the night, as you are able to stack them. On the other hand, the workshops only offer 30 minutes productions, and you can create up to only a 2 hours long queue. So if you are that kind of a strange gamer who actually sleeps in the night, like me, it might be better for you to boost this production as much as possible to balance the losses. Hence, for reaching this balance, I found quite an efficient setup for my settlement. What I did is that I simply placed all the workshops next to the Nile, and from the other side I surrounded them by the irrigation buildings, so either the wells or the irrigation stations, which I have available so far. This helped me to increase the water boost on these buildings a lot. In case of some of them, I even reached the maximal boost, and it's still very nice working with the fields and gold mines as well, as these perfectly suit the available space on the other side. I am not using premium irrigation buildings, so I believe that it can be improved even more by using them, but as long as I keep with free buildings only, this is probably the most efficient setup for my game style that I have found so far. Well, if I had to conclude my impressions from this culture so far, in my opinion it wasn't anything world-breaking, especially when it comes to difficulty. I think it was a nice initiation into the cultural system in this game. I believe that even a player with a casual approach is able to finish this culture in a very reasonable time, at least this part of the Minoan era. However, this might of course change over time in the future cultures. That's what am I saying from my experiences from Elvenar, where the final guest races now require much better strategy and activity from player to keep getting a progress. Well, and with that being said, that's what I've got for this video to show from the Egypt culture in the Minoan era. I am pretty excited to see what the classic Greece brings to this culture. There seems to be a lot of space available on the other side of the bridge, as well as some new resources required in the research, so we are definitely not even close to finishing this culture. And thank you for watching, don't forget to join by subscribing, and I will see you next time.